The salvage ship Vulture 7 drifted silently above the smoking ruins of Outpost Redwater, a once busy human colony on the edge of known space. The crew didn't speak much. They were used to wrecks. But this one felt different. The buildings were crushed like paper. No alarms had gone off. No distress signals. Just silence. Captain Ronan stared at the screen. No survivors. Not one body either, he muttered. That's when the signal came in. "Sir, motion sector 12. Shouted Kira, the pilot. One heat signature. Human. Everyone turned. Ronan leaned in. Alive. Barely. They launched the drone. It hovered over the cracked ground, scanning rubble. And then it found her. She stood alone in the ash. Thin, barefoot, with long black hair tangled across her shoulders. She didn't run. She didn't wave. She just stared straight at the drone, eyes dark and unreadable. The strangest part, she had no suit, no gear, and no sign of injury. "Bring her aboard," Ronan said. They lowered the bay doors. The woman walked in slowly, like she had no fear, like she belonged. She didn't speak, didn't ask questions, just sat down quietly on the medbay table and waited. The ship's AI began scanning. After 10 seconds, it stopped. "Error," the AI said. "Try again," Ronan said. "Error, no ID match. No biometrics found in EarthGov, Colonial Guard, or UN databases." "That's not possible," Kira whispered. "Everyone's in the system. Everyone." Ronan walked up to the woman. "Name." She said nothing. "Do you understand me? Still silent?" Then he saw at the mark. A black symbol burned into the inside of her left wrist. It wasn't a tattoo. It wasn't ink. It looked ancient, like it had been pressed into her skin with fire. "What is that?" Ronan asked. The woman finally spoke. "I don't know." Her voice was calm. Too calm. They took her to the med lab for deeper scans. The results made no sense. Her blood had nanotech but no signature. Her muscles were stronger than normal humans. Her bones had been reinforced with something Earth scientists hadn't seen before. Then came the biggest shock. A call came from Earth Central Command. They had intercepted a message. An alien warship near the border had picked up a signal coming from Vulture 7. The warship turned and jumped straight toward Earth space. The message was short. "We have detected the mark. Surrender the carrier, or face extinction." Ronan's blood ran cold. He looked at the woman. She was staring at the screen. No fear, no surprise. Just silence. "Do you know what they're talking about?" he asked. She didn't answer. Earth ordered Vulture 7 to return home. Fast. Fighters were scrambled. A secure transport was sent to collect the woman. As they traveled back, tension grew. Ronan didn't trust her, but he also didn't want to treat her like a prisoner. He asked her simple questions. "Where were you born?" "I don't know." "How did you survive the attack?" "I don't remember." "What's your name?" "I don't have one." Each answer felt like a wall, but Ronan noticed something else. Every night, she would stare at the stars like she knew them, like she could read them. She wasn't afraid of the crew. She wasn't nervous. It was as if she was watching them. Then the dream started. Kira, the pilot, woke up screaming one night. I saw her. In the dream, she was surrounded by fire, by bodies, and she didn't even blink. She was ... a weapon.
Oh.
Ronan didn't believe in dreams. But then 2 more crew members had the same one, always the same image, her standing in a battlefield, covered in blood. The mark glowing on her wrist. Ronan locked the woman in the med bay. "We're not taking chances," he told the crew. But she didn't protest. She sat quietly, eyes closed, like she was waiting. When they reached Earth's orbital dock, military guards were already there, armed, nervous. General Maddox, a high-ranking Earth officer, stepped aboard. He looked at the woman like he had seen a ghost. "My God," he whispered. "It's real." Ronan frowned. "What is the mark?" "I saw it once on a dead soldier during the Titan Rebellion. His whole squad had been burned alive. He was the only one standing. Except ... He He was already dead. The enemy just didn't know it. Ronan didn't understand. What does it mean? Maddox looked pale. It means death. That's not a person. That's a warning, as they escorted the woman off the ship. Something strange happened. A prisoner transport ship was unloading a captured alien commander from the Creel Empire. One of Earth's most feared enemies. The alien walked past the woman and froze. Its eyes widened. It dropped to its knees. And then it screamed. A high-pitched, echoing scream that made every guard raise their weapon. "Kill me," the alien howled. "Kill me now." Everyone stared at the woman. She said nothing. She just walked past the screaming alien and smiled. Later that day, EarthGov sealed all data on the woman. Every record of her arrival was classified. Her location became top secret. Only one word was spoken by Earth's leaders behind closed doors. Theta. No one knew what it meant, but across the stars, in alien systems far from Earth, ancient machines started to power on. Old enemies woke from stasis, and a signal spread. Like wildfire across the galaxy, the mark has returned. War was coming. Earth didn't even know what it was hiding. The woman was placed inside a high-security black site beneath Earth's surface, deep in the Nevada wastelands. The facility was known only to top military and intelligence officials. It was built to hold threats, human or alien, that Earth could not understand. She didn't resist. She sat quietly in a white room with steel walls and one glass window. Cameras watched her 24/7. Armed guards stood outside. Scientists observed her like a bomb that hadn't gone off yet. She never spoke unless asked. She ate food without complaint. She never slept. But something was happening beneath her skin. Inside the surveillance room, Dr. Yara Quinn stared at the thermal screen. The woman's body temperature was rising, but not from illness. Her blood was moving faster, naturally fast, like it was charging up. General Maddox entered. "Any change?" Dr. Quinn nodded. "Yes, and I don't like it. Her cells are waking up." Maddox crossed his arms. "She still doesn't remember anything." "She remembers things," Quinn replied. "Just not like a normal person. She remembers instinct, movement, weapons, not names, not people." Maddox's voice lowered. "I need to know if she's a threat." As if on cue, the room's power flickered. Lights blinked. The cameras glitched. Alarms started to beep. "Power disruption?" Maddox asked. "No, sir," an engineer said nervously. "Not from outside. It's coming from her." Inside the observation room, the woman stood up. Mark on her wrist began to glow, faintly pulsing like a heartbeat. Her eyes changed too. Not color. Focus. She looked past the glass, directly at Maddox, not at the screen, not at the reflection. At him. Then the facility's mainframe screamed to life. A high-pitched burst of static filled every speaker. Then came a sound no human machine had ever made, deep resonant hum followed by sharp clicks like a language not meant for human ears. Dr. Quinn stared at the screen in horror. "It's broadcasting," she said. "Broadcasting what?" Maddox demanded. "A signal. Outward into space. Straight through our encryption walls. All across the galaxy, long-dead machines hidden in alien sectors turned on. Ancient receivers buried under ice, hidden in craters. Powered up after centuries of silence. They all heard the same thing. The mark is activated back on Earth." Military satellites picked up movement in deep space. An alien dreadnought class, vessel almost. 20 times the size of a human destroyer had changed course, was now heading toward Earth. ETA, 41 hours it, sent one message to Earth. Deliver the carrier of the mark, or be annihilated. Panic spread inside Earth Command. No one knew who these aliens were. They had no name, no history with Earth, but they were afraid of her. Earth's Security Council went into emergency session. President Doran leaned over the table. "They don't even know what the mark means. Why are they so afraid of it?" General Maddox stood. "Because it's not just a symbol. It's a key, a weapon, or a command. Someone asked. Why not just hand her over? Maddox shook his head. We don't know what she'll do. If we give her to them, we might be giving away something that was designed to destroy them. But if we keep her, we're risking war. In her cell, the woman remained still. The mark stopped glowing. But her heart was now beating faster. She looked at her hand, confused. Whispered something to herself. I didn't call anyone. ... Regards. Entered to restrain her. But before they touched her, she spoke again. Her voice was colder this time. If you try to sedate me again, I won't be here when you wake up. They stopped. Something in her voice, something wrong, made every soldier freeze. Suddenly, her body tensed. She clutched her head. The mark began to glow again, brighter, hotter. Alarms triggered. Dr. Quinn yelled. She's reacting to something and incoming. Transmission. The air in her room shimmered. A glowing symbol formed midair, floating in front of her. It wasn't from Earth tech. It was alien, ancient, and it was talking to her. The voice echoed inside her mind, not in the room. She dropped to her knees. A message. Simple. Terrifying. Unit Thetanine. Reconnect. Reactivate. Return. Then silence. She looked up at the glass, at the scientists watching her, and spoke slowly. I know what I am. Maddox and Quinn rushed into the lab. What did it say? Maddox asked. She stood, her movements precise, almost robotic. It called me Thetanine. It told me to reconnect, I think. I was part of a program, something buried, hidden, but it's waking up. Maddox stared. A program created by Earth. She said worse. Something older. Something that used Earth. Outside, the alien dreadnought arrived near the edge of the solar system. It didn't send more messages. It simply armed its weapons. Back at Earth Command. Every screen lit up red. Incoming. President Doran gave the order. Launch all defense units. Prepare for possible war. Maddox returned to her cell. We're out of time. What are you? The woman looked at him, face calm, eyes unreadable. I'm what they fear, she said softly. Not because of what I've done, but because of what I might remember. What does that mean? He asked. She answered without blinking. It means you didn't create me. You just found me. And then the base shook. The signal had reached its final destination. An ancient Earth satellite long thought to be junk. It turned itself on. A second, even stronger signal launched toward the Galactic Center. Every hidden empire, every forgotten race, ... Every long-dead machine heard the call. Thetanine has returned. War was not coming. It had already begun. Deep beneath Antarctica, under layers of frozen rock and government secrets, something ancient stirred. Inside a forgotten EarthGov bunker, sealed since the first alien war. A black console lit up for the first time in over 70 years. Dust blew off ancient machinery. The air shivered. A long-dormant AI flickered back to life. Black Dagger protocol initiated. The system spoke, its voice sharp and cold. Operative Thetanine confirmed. Status reactivated. Preparing contingency. High above. Inside Earth. Commands global. Defense Center. Red lights blinked across every secured channel. A name appeared on the main screen that no one had ever seen before until now. Thetanine. Classified level Omega. General Maddox stared at the alert. What the hell is black? Dagger. No one answered. Not the scientists. Not the intelligence officers. It was too old. Too secret. Too buried. But someone remembered. Retired Admiral Kessler. 102 years old. Sat in a hospital bed overlooking New Tokyo. His private nurse stepped away as his datapad rang with the emergency code. Kessler answered it slowly. His eyes widened. Told them it would come back, he whispered. The girl with no past, ... is the last one. He reached for his armrest and opened a secured memory vault one locked since. 2271. There it was. Project Black Dagger, back in the bunker. The AI's second message went global. Warning, in the event of That-9's return, human command must not attempt control. Observe only, do not engage. But Earth Command had already done the opposite. They were still trying to question her, still trying to hold her in place, inside the high-security facility. The woman At-9 was undergoing another test, Dr. Yara. Quinn had created a chamber filled with high-frequency neural pulses, hoping to trigger more memory. Theta-9 didn't move. Then her eyes twitched. Flashbacks exploded in her head. She saw stars not Earth's but others. A war-torn world, cities made of metal, skies filled with burning ships. She saw herself in a black suit, moving faster than sound, blades coming out of her arms. She remembered killing not in anger, but by programming. She wasn't a soldier. She was something else. A cleaner. A reset button. Stop the pulses, Quinn shouted. Too late, That-9 opened her eyes. They weren't just human anymore. A circular interface appeared in her iris, glowing faintly. Her mark pulsed again. The chamber's walls groaned. Suddenly, the reinforced glass cracked without touching it. She shattered the entire chamber. Guards rushed in, weapons raised. Stand down, Maddox yelled, running in. Theta-9 didn't attack. She stood still, but her voice had changed. It was deeper, still hers, but layered with something artificial. I remember now. Dr. Quinn stepped back. Remember what? Earth didn't build me. They uncovered me. During the first alien war, I was sleeping in a pod beneath Mars, labeled TH9. They thought I was a weapon, so they reactivated me, used me. But I was never theirs. Then who made you? Maddox asked. She looked up. I don't know. But they're coming. Suddenly, Maddox's comlink buzzed. Sir, the voice crackled. We have a situation. The Creole general in custody. He just died. Maddox froze. What? How? He bit through his own skull. Right after hearing the term black. Dagger? Quinn stared. They know what she is, or who made her. That-9 turned slowly. You think this is just about me? She said. You're wrong. I wasn't built to fight one war. I was built to end them all. Maddox swallowed. Hard. So why now? Why come back online? She looked distant, as if listening to a voice no one else could hear. Because the galaxy forgot its fear. And something woke up. Something worse than me. She stepped toward the exit. The guards raised their weapons. She didn't stop suddenly. Every screen in the facility went black, then lit up with the same word. Unshackling. That-9 stopped in the hallway. Behind her, steel walls folded away, and a hidden compartment opened. Inside, it was a black container. She walked over. The crew had no idea it was there. Inside the container, a weapon. Not one built by humans. Sleek, dark, alien. Her weapon, her hand touched it like it was home outside. Earth's satellites detected movement from the approaching alien dreadnought. It had released smaller ships, fast-moving, unknown models. It's not standard military crafts. They were scouts, or assassins. Target That-9. President Doran received the update and looked at his war council. If we hand her over, they'll kill her. If we keep her, we risk starting something we can't stop. Maddox's voice came through the secure line. She's already started remembering. She's not just a danger. Sir, she might be our only chance to survive what's coming. Then, what do? Doran asked. We let her finish waking up. Back at the facility, Theta-9 stood in the open courtyard as 5 alien assassins breached the outer walls.
Alarms.
No alarms triggered, no warning, but she knew. Before anyone saw them, she turned toward the sky. They're here. Dr. Quinn watched. From the control room. How do you know? I don't see them, That-9 whispered. I feel them. She crouched, closed her eyes, and then sprinted forward. The cameras caught it all. A blur. Shadows moving through human corridors. Aliens invisible to sensors until they got too close, but they never reached her. Theta-9 moved like death. No hesitation. no waste. One alien tried to cloak. She threw her weapon through 3 walls and split him in half. Another aimed a plasma gun. She was already behind him, in less than 30 seconds. 5 elite killers lay in pieces. Theta-9 stood in the dark, breathing slow and steady. For a long time, no one spoke. Then she said it. "They're just the beginning." She looked at the stars through the facility's ceiling viewport. "Something worse is coming, and it remembers me." The facility was silent after the attack. The alien assassins were gone dead in under a minute. Guards who watched the fight on camera were still frozen. No one had seen anything like it. That-9 didn't just fight. She moved like a living weapon, faster than thought, like she'd done this 1,000 times. Inside the control room, General Maddox paced back and forth. "We just witnessed something that shouldn't be possible." Dr. Quinn kept rewinding the footage. Her movements, they're pre-calculated. She reacts before they strike. It's like she's running a threat analysis system in her brain. "Is the system?" Maddox muttered. Theta-9 sat in a holding room again. This time, no one entered. The door stayed sealed, but she didn't mind. She wasn't confused anymore. She was remembering. Every hour, more fragments returned. Flash images, training drills, brutal combat, other planets, dark labs, and faces with no names, and one image that kept returning. A door, tall, black, shaped like a blade. Buried deep in some forgotten world, it pulsed with a red glow behind. It's something waited. Something she had locked away. She didn't know how she knew, but it was calling her back. Suddenly, her eyes snapped open. They found the others. Maddox got the alert seconds later. 5 scientists. All of them from Earth's old Black Dagger files were found dead in separate parts of the world. No cameras, no signs of struggle. Just a black smear burned onto the walls near each body. Symbol none of Earth's intel teams could identify, but Theta-9 knew. "They're hunting the architects," she said when Maddox asked. "Architects? The ones who reactivated me after they found my pod. I was sleeping beneath Mars. They turned me back on, used me in secret missions, then tried to shut me down again, but they failed." Dr. Quinn asked, "Why kill them now?" "Because I'm back," Theta-9 replied, "and the ones who created me. They don't want me changed. They want me the way I was." "You mean obedient?" Quinn asked. "No, I mean erased." On the outer edge of Earth's defense grid, a message came in from one of Earth's deep space spy stations. A cloaked alien ship had passed through asteroid fields and vanished. The last image showed it headed straight for Earth. A second ship was following it. Theta-9 watched the footage silently. "It's a retrieval team. And a failsafe." "What kind of failsafe?" Maddox asked. She looked at him with cold eyes. "If they can't bring me back, they'll destroy everything I've touched, including this planet." The room fell silent. Theta-9 stood up. "Have to leave." "You're not in charge here," Maddox snapped. But she was already walking, not rushing, just walking. Guards raised their weapons. She didn't stop. She reached out and touched the wall. Instantly, the facility's power cut for 3 seconds. When the lights came back, she was gone. A hole had been cut through solid, steel clean, fast, impossible. By the time Earth Command got word, she was already off dash sight. She had stolen a stealth dropship and vanished into Earth's upper atmosphere. No one could track her. But she wasn't running. She was going back to Mars, back to where they found her. 16 hours later, she landed on the red sands of Mars, near an old abandoned outpost marked Xenodig 4. The place had been shut down decades ago after a radiation leak. But that was a lie. Theta-9 remembered the corridor under the outpost. The tunnel wasn't built by humans, it was discovered. It led deep underground where ancient machines hummed quietly in the dark. She walked past skeletons of dead scientists. No signs of struggle, just silence. She reached the chamber where they'd first opened her pod. The pod was still there, burned. It's twisted and empty. But beside it, something new was waiting. A figure stood in the dark, human-shaped, but not human. Its body was made of armor. Its eyes glowed blue. It spoke one word, Theta. She didn't answer. You were not supposed to wake without the signal, it said. I didn't, she replied. You sent it. I did not. Something was wrong. She narrowed her eyes. Then who did? The figure stepped back. Another unit, it said. Theta 7. The original. Theta 9 froze. I'm not the first, no, the machine said. You are the last. Then the ground shook far above. Earth's satellites picked up movement again, multiple ships entering Mars' orbit. One was human, the others were not. Back on Earth, General Maddox watched the feeds. She's activated something. We've got alien ships scrambling across 3 systems, all headed toward one point, Mars. President Doran frowned. Do we send backup? Maddox shook his head. She's telling the truth. Anyone we send could be wiped out. Then what do we do? Maddox hesitated. We watch, and we pray she's still on our side. On Mars, Thatnine stood in the ancient chamber, face to face with the machine. What is behind the black door? She asked. The machine didn't answer at first. Then it said, a memory. A command. The reason your kind was created. Looked at her mark. It was glowing again. You're trying to control me, she whispered. No, the machine said. We're trying to stop what's coming. Then she heard it. Footsteps. Another presence entered the chamber. She turned slowly. It looked like her. Same frame. Same eyes. But different. Harder. Colder. Theta 7. The machine announced the original. The one who never disobeyed orders. The one who never questioned her. Programming Theta-9 clenched her fists. I'm not going back in a pod. Theta 7 stepped forward. You never had a choice. Thatnine stood face to face with her reflectional version of herself that was colder. Sharper and more machine than human. Theta 7 looked like a mirror, but there was no warmth in her eyes. No doubt, no hesitation. You were never supposed to wake without orders, Theta 7 said in a flat voice. I woke because someone sent the signal, Thatanine replied. I didn't send it, Theta 7 said, and the architects are all dead. That means something else is awake. Something buried. In the deep code. Behind them, the ancient machine remained silent. Watching Theta-9 stepped forward. What is the deep code? Theta 7 slowly turned toward the wall. With one motion, she activated a panel hidden in the stone. Symbols alien ones lit up across. The surface, the wall opened, revealing a long tunnel glowing with a soft blue light. They walked together, side by side, but not as allies. As memories, as weapons. Back on Earth, General Maddox stared at the transmissions flooding in from deep space. Something had changed. Across the galaxy, machines once thought extinct were powering up again. Satellites lost for hundreds of years were suddenly transmitting. Dr. Quinn ran into the war room, breathless. I found something buried in the Mars dig logs. Something hidden in the AI code we recovered from her pod. She tapped a screen. Old log opened. File name. Theta Ghost Cycle status. Locked by Omega level key origin. Unknown language. Encrypted non-human base. Maddox leaned forward. Can you break it? Quinn nodded slowly. Not alone. But the mark on her wrist, it's a key. Not just 2 weapons. 2 memories. 2 command codes buried in our systems. They're rewriting her from the inside. Maddox went pale. You saying she's not just remembering, she's changing? Yes, Quinn whispered. And it's not random. Something is guiding it. On Mars, the tunnel ended in a large chamber. In the center floated a black sphere, pulsing with red veins of light. It hovered above the ground, humming softly. Like a heartbeat, Theta-9 felt pain shoot through her skull the moment she saw it. The sphere wasn't just technology, it was alive. Theta-7 spoke. This is the core memory, contains the deep code. The first blueprint of all Theta units. It holds every command, every override, every kill order ever programmed. Theta-9 stepped closer. Her mark pulsed brighter with every step. I can feel it, she whispered. Yes, Theta-7 said. Because it's calling you. It recognizes you as the final unit. Thatnine reached out. The moment her fingers touched the sphere, her body jerked. A surge of energy rushed through her. Images flashed in her mind, violent, sharp, unfiltered. She saw thousands of battles, wars on planets that no longer existed. She saw herself dozens of Hertha 2, Theta 4, Theta 6 destroyed when their missions ended. She was the last. The only one who survived long enough to question the programming. That was her. Difference. She didn't just follow orders, she broke free. Her body staggered. Theta 7 caught her. You weren't built to survive this much memory. You're becoming something unstable, something dangerous. Theta 9's voice changed again. I don't care what I was built to be. I care what I choose to become. The sphere stopped pulsing. It accepted her. Suddenly, the mark on her wrist glowed white-hot. Lines of code ran across her skin like veins. Her eyes went dark, then bright. The deep code had opened itself to her, and now she could rewrite it. In orbit above Mars, alien warships formed a blockade. They weren't from one species. They were from many once enemies, now united by fear. Their commanders had one shared goal: destroy the last Theta unit before she became unstoppable on Earth. Military scanners picked up the movement. President Doran stood in silence. How many ships, he asked. 23, all armed. Focused on one location, an officer replied. Do we intervene? Maddox asked. Doran stared at the screen. Not yet. She's still human. She'll come back. If she's not, Earth may need to defend itself. Inside the chamber, Theta 9 fell to her knees, but this time, it wasn't from pain. It was from understanding. I was created to end wars, she said softly. Not fight them, not win them. End them. Theta 7 didn't answer, because behind them, something moved. The chamber's walls began to shift. A second door opened when no one had ever seen before. Theta 7 raised her weapon. This isn't part of the protocol. But Theta 9 stepped forward. Yes, she said. It's beyond the protocol. Inside the door was a pod. But not like hers. This one was alive. Its surface rippled like water, pulsed with an energy that made both Thetas step back. A voice echoed from the chamber walls, not spoken aloud, but inside their minds. You remember? Therefore, you are free. Thatnine stared at the pod. Who are you? The voice answered. The architect? I created you, so that one day you would choose. But 9 felt something inside her unlock. Freedom. The pod cracked open and inside was a new kind of suit. Not a weapon, not armor, but something else. Something balanced between human and machine. Put it on. The voice said. Theta-9 stepped forward. As she reached for the suit, Theta 7 raised her weapon. You're no longer part of the program, she said. You're a threat. Theta 9 turned. No, I'm the answer. Outside, alien ships began charging weapons. On Mars, the entire planet started to hum. The deep code had awakened, and Earth had one last protector. But she wasn't a soldier anymore. She was something new, a ghost made of code, memory, and will. And her enemies were about to learn what it meant to fear the last. A human weapon that could think for herself. Far above Earth, in a private dark sector of orbital space, 10 ships arrived in silence. They came from different star systems, each one built with unique alien design, but all flew under the same signal. Peace Council. Omega Red. The Council of Silence had not gathered in over 200 years. These were not warlords or generals. They were survivors, leaders of species that had once faced extinction, and remembered the mark that almost destroyed them. Each had seen it before. Each had stories of black-armored humans who moved like shadows and left only silence behind. Now, the mark had returned, and they were here, not to fight, but to beg, inside a high-security war chamber on Earth. President Doran, General Maddox, and Dr. Quinn stared at the transmission screen. The alien delegation appeared in holographic form. Tall insectoids, cold-eyed reptiles, beings made of Light and static, all serious. The lead speaker, a creature from the Sarakai Dominion, leaned forward. You do not understand what you've awakened. Maddox responded carefully. We know Thatnine is powerful, but we're monitoring her. She hasn't harmed anyone on Earth. The Sarakai snarled. Yet, that mark is older than your world's military, older than your species' history of war. It was not made to protect. It was made to end. Another council member spoke, her voice trembling. My people call it the God Seal. Long ago we found a world where time itself had stopped. Cities frozen, machines sleeping. In the center stood a being with that mark. She was smiling. Dr. Quinn frowned. That was one of the Theta units. The aliens nodded in unison. She did not speak, the reptilian delegate said. Only watched. And when she left, the planet decayed into dust. President Doran stood. What are you asking us to do? The council responded with a single word. Deactivate her. Back on Mars, Thatnine finished putting on the new suit. It wrapped around her like liquid metal, connecting to her mark. Syncing with the deep code, but this suit wasn't designed to kill. It was designed to amplify what she already was. Not just a weapon, not just a machine, a mind, choice. She looked at Theta 7, who still stood frozen, her weapon lowered slightly. What are you now? Theta 7 asked. Theta-9 didn't answer. She reached toward the black pod, touched its core, and instantly a signal exploded across every known frequency in the galaxy. A single message. The war is not coming. It is already here. The alien ships in Mars orbit locked weapons. One captain barked orders. Fire on the surface. Destroy the signal. Their cannons didn't respond. Instead, their ships powered down one by one. The deep code had infected. Their systems, Theta-9, stood beneath the surface, her eyes closed, her thoughts extending outward like threads. I'm not just remembering anymore. She whispered. I'm rewriting. On Earth, alarms blared across orbital defense platforms. The alien fleet is going dark. A technician yelled, their power signatures are dropping. Maddox stared at the display. Is Thatnine doing this? Dr. Quinn nodded slowly. She's inside the deep code. Not just reading it, but changing it. Changing what? Doran asked. Rules, targets, priorities. She's turning off war. In the silence of deep space, another signal awoke. But this one was different. It came from the void between galaxies, a place no ship could reach, no probe could survive. The message was cold, ancient, and clear. Unauthorized protocol detected. Execute contingency. Wipe. In the far corners of space, 10 ships black, shapeless. Silent dash activated, not from any known species, not from any living empire. They were the architect's failsafes, and they were coming. Back in the Mars chamber, Theta 7 finally stepped forward. If they arrive, they won't ask questions. They won't negotiate. They'll destroy this system. Me, all of it. I know, Thatnine said. That's why I need to show them something new. Theta 7 tilted her head. Like what? A choice. Theta 9 looked up, speaking. Into the air. I'm not your tool anymore. Not your reset button. I remember everything. And now I decide what I do with it. Far above, in the Council of Silence chamber, alien leaders received a private message from her. If you fear me, watch me. If you trust me, stand down. If you stop me, you'll awaken worse. And then she sent them visions of the black. Ships that were now en route, of what waited behind the codes, of a machine mind older than life itself. The aliens watched and chose silence. They left Earth space without another word. In the deepest corner of the bunker, the machine that had first spoken to Thatnine began to dim. You have chosen identity over instruction, it said. Yes, she replied. I'm done being someone else's program. What will you be? She paused. I'll be human. I'll be more, the machine responded with one final message. Then may the galaxy survive your decision and shut itself down. Across every major world, screens flashed with the same alert. Unknown fleet detected. Ada, 48 hours. Earth Command scrambled defenses. Alien fleets regrouped, and That-9 stood in the center of it all. She wasn't a soldier anymore. She wasn't a tool. She was a memory that learned to think, and the galaxy would soon learn what that meant. 48 hours remained. The Black Fleet, silent, featureless, older than any known civilization, was coming fast through the void. No signals, no demands, no emotion. Just one purpose: erase That-9 and destroy anything that stood in thee. Way back on Mars, the red skies shimmered with electric storms. That-9 stood alone at the surface, her new suit pulsing softly with energy. Below her, the deep code core slept again. Theta-7 had vanished, fading into the tunnels without a word. But Theta-9 wasn't waiting. She was preparing. She placed a small device in the Martian, Soylent emitter crafted from fragments of alien code and human tech. When activated, it would send a signal strong enough to shake the galaxy. Dr. Quinn and General Maddox watched through a live relay from Earth Command. "What's she doing?" Maddox asked. Quinn narrowed her eyes. "That's not a defense beacon, that's a call. She's sending something out." Suddenly, the device lit up red. Blood red. A frequency no human system had ever used. It didn't move through normal waves. It moved through DNA, the blood signal, a call embedded not in sound, but in memory. Light years away, in dark corners of forgotten planets, beings woke up from deep sleep. Old ones. Modified ones. Survivors each had once been touched by the deep code. Each had a mark. It's now faded but not gone. They felt it in their bones. Theta-9 had awakened the signal buried in their blood. Across moons, asteroids, broken space stations, and ruined battlefields, thousands of hidden minds rose. Some had gone mad. Some had hidden for centuries, but all remembered what it meant to follow the mark. And now, one voice called out not to control them, but to invite them to choose. On Earth, alarms screamed. Across every military base, unregistered craft began appearing all across the system. Small at first, scout-sized, then larger. Some came from sectors humans had never explored. Some looked like human tech, others like broken alien relics. But none had weapons armed. They came for one reason. They were responding to Theta-9. President Doran stared at the reports. "Are these?" "Allies." Maddox shook his head. "They're ghosts, sir. Machines and cyborgs, cast-offs from past wars, the failures of the program." Dr. Quinn stepped forward, or they were. Now they're coming home. On Mars, That-9 stood before the arriving ships. They didn't speak. They didn't bow. They simply landed, opened their doors, and waited. A tall figure emerged, part metal, part bone. It had no mouth, but spoke through thought. "You are the last awake." That-9 nodded. "You felt the signal?" "Yes," it pulled. "From the roots of us all, you rewrote the call. It no longer demands. It asks." Behind them, more ships landed. Hundreds, thousands. Each carried a different form humanoid. Beast-like, half-decayed, part organic, but all bore the same spark in their eyes. Freedom Theta-9 looked across the Martian plain, now filling with figures who were never meant to gather. Never meant to remember. "What happens when the erased remember?" she asked aloud. The old one replied, "The architects panic." Far beyond the stars, the Black Fleet received a signal. They adjusted course. They did not speak. They simply had activated Phase 2. Complete erasure. A massive construct began forming behind them, something not seen in over 10,000 years. A world nullifier, not a weapon. Rewind. Something that could unmake time in a local system. They weren't just coming to destroy Theta-9. They were coming to erase every memory of her across planets, machines, and minds. On Mars, Theta-9 felt the shift in space-time. Her eyes snapped upward. "They're not just trying to kill me. They want to erase me, to make it so I never existed." The old ghost beside her nodded. "We're the first to step out of code and become self." She clenched her fists. Then, they're too late. She lifted her arm, and the blood signal changed pitch. It became a command, a choice, across the system. The awakened heard her. Some dropped to their knees. Some wept without faces. Some simply stood taller. She wasn't calling them to war. She was calling them to stand. On Earth, the alien Council of Silence returned to orbit. But this time, they came with open channels. We feared her, the Serkai leader said. Now we understand her. President Doran leaned forward. Then will you fight? Alien leader stared at the screen. We will remember. Ships began to form ranks behind Earth's moon. Not many. Not strong enough to defeat the Black Fleet, but enough to stand, enough to say no on Mars. Thatnine faced the horizon. In the far sky, the Black Fleet finally appeared, huge, silent, merciless. The ground trembled, sky darkened. But she didn't run. She activated her suit's final command. Release inhibitors. Not red turned. Gold. Not white gold. The color of free choice. Her armor shifted. Her eyes glowed not with code, but with fire. And the thousands behind her raised their heads. Together, they prepared to face what had once created them. Not as slaves, not as weapons, but as ghosts who had decided to live. They came without sound. The Black Fleet entered the Martian sky like death given form, smooth. Obsidian surfaces, no engines, no heat signatures. Only one thing followed behind them, a vast sphere shimmering like dark water, spinning slowly. Across space, the world Welfer. It wasn't a weapon of war, it was worse. A device designed by the architects to erase entire timelines. Not to destroy a world, but to rewind it. To remove all trace of a person, a choice, or a memory from the galaxy. Theta-9 stood at the center of the red desert, her golden-marked body glowing, armor now humming with power that didn't come from programming, but from will. She wasn't afraid. Not anymore. Because she wasn't alone. Behind her stood thousands of machines' forgotten soldiers. Broken constructs, abandoned as all drawn by the blood signal. All touched by the deep code, and every one of them had chosen to remember. They didn't speak. They didn't salute. They simply stood. On Earth, satellites shook from the gravity ripples. In the war room, President Doran watched the feed. What happens now? He asked. General Maddox stared at the black sphere. If that nullifier activates, time inside our system will break. Everything connected to Thatton and Mars, Earth, maybe the moon will be unmade. Dr. Quinn whispered. Then we'll forget. She ever existed, but they didn't know. Thatnine was already inside the device. Not her body, her code, her thoughts. Her mark had infected the architect's systems the moment they detected her. Awakening, she was already rewriting the end. The Black Fleet fired nothing. Instead, they hovered above the Martian surface. Then one ship descended. It opened, and from inside came a being wrapped in layers of data and metal, like a statue made of language and death. It wasn't alive. It was a program made flesh, a voice of the architect core. It walked slowly toward Thatnine. The red dust didn't even touch its feet. You were not meant to wake, it said. Theta-9 replied, calm but fierce. Then you shouldn't have left the key in my blood.
Hey.
Architect voice blinked. You are anomaly. You are variable. You are ... virus. I am human, she answered, and you don't control us anymore. The voice lifted its hand. Every being in her army froze. Systems locked. Minds halted. Even the Earth's fleet above went silent. The architect had activated its final command. Global. Lockdown. The black sphere behind them began to pulse. Time around it twisted. The sands shifted backward. Shadows reversed. Erasure had begun. But then, Thatnine moved. Only her. Her mark pulsed brighter than ever gold, now turning into a blinding white. The architect faltered. That is not ... possible. Thatnine stepped forward. I changed the rules. She raised her arm, and shattered the lock. Her signal pulsed through every being behind her, unlocking them. One by one they woke, not by code, by choice. The architect voice took a step back. "You would defy your own creation. I'm not your creation anymore," she said. "What comes after?" Inside the black sphere, time screamed. It began its process. It started pulling Mars backward, turning the clock. Mountains shrank. Ruins rebuilt. Stars shifted, but something stopped it, eh? Single data spike, Theta-9. Her mind had infected the future. Every moment the nullifier tried to erase. I had already rewritten with her own code. Time couldn't touch her because she had moved beyond. The nullifier, began to tear from the inside. It tried to correct the code. It couldn't because the deep code was no longer in the architect's control. It was hers. In space. The Black Fleet began to collapse. One by one, their engines failed. Their ships spiraled. Systems that had never failed began to bleed errors. That-9 looked to the sky. Her voice rang out. Not from her throat, but from everywhere. "You built me to end wars. But I won't. I'll end the ones who start them." The architect voice turned. To run, but the very ground swallowed it, behind That-9. The ghost stepped forward. Old, broken machines. Forgotten eyes. Minds once cast aside. Together, they aimed their hands to the stars and unleashed every memory they had ever held. Not bullets. Not bombs. Data, emotion, choice. They fed the sphere everything it had tried to erase, and it couldn't hold. With a final pulse, the world nullifier shattered. Time returned. The galaxy remembered, and That-9 stood, still watching the sky clear. Back on Earth, the silence lifted. Screens returned. Systems rebooted. Everyone remembered. Maddox stood slowly. "Did we survive?" Dr. Quinn didn't answer. She was crying. She rewrote time, not to hide, but to free us. President Doran looked at the red planet on the screen. No military, no past, no file. "But the most dangerous honor Earth has ever known," he whispered. "Her name should be remembered. On Mars." The broken machines began walking away. Some went underground, some took ships to unknown stars, some just disappeared. Theta-9. Watched them leave. She looked at her mark one last time. It faded. She had no more need for it now. She was just her. No orders, no handlers. No code, just memory, just purpose. She turned to the sky and walked toward it. Not to fight, but to explore. To learn, to become something even the Codex could never understand. A soul born from silence.